A comprehensive look of Israel's agricultural miracle. More than 100 years ago, Mark Twain came to Israel on the edge of the Mediterranean, leaving a comment that it was desolate, barren and hopeless. Other Middle Eastern countries have baubles under the desert, oil. Israel does not. It only has a desolate desert. This is a bad hand that Israel has. Its natural resources are extremely bad. The desert area occupies 67% of the land area of Israel, the soil is poor, and most of them belong to the typical arid and semi-arid climate areas. Sources of water are extremely scarce. The average annual rainfall in the whole territory is only 350 millimeters. The per capita water resources is less than 400 cubic meters, while the world's per capita water resources is 8,800 cubic meters, making Israel one of the world's poorest countries for water. Weizmann, the founding president of Israel, famously said, "As long as you give us a bowl of water and a seed, this nation can survive." Only more than 70 years after the founding of Israel in 1948, has there been an agricultural miracle that Mark Twain could never imagine. She has become a world agricultural power. Agricultural output almost doubles every 10 years, and it took 3 decades to basically realize agricultural modernization. Faced with the harsh natural conditions of drought, water shortage, and land shortage, farmers who account for only 5% of the total population needed to feed the people of the whole country. According to Israeli agricultural data, in 1955, an Israeli farmer could only feed 15 people. In 2000, it could feed 90 people. By 2015, an Israeli farmer could feed 400 people. It also exports agricultural products, agricultural materials and equipment, and teaches agricultural production technology to more than 60 countries in the world. Its exported fruits and vegetables account for 40% of the European market. It is known as the European fruit basket and has become the second largest flour supplier country after the Netherlands. The quality of Israeli agricultural products meets European standards, some of which are EU organic certification products, and most of them meet EU green certification standards. Israel has grown into the only developed country in the Middle East. In such a barren desert, with a population of only 9 million, land size only barely larger than New Jersey state, which is the 5th smallest U.S. state, Israel turns its disadvantages into its advantages, relying on technological innovation and wisdom. Their skillful management have turned deserts into fertile fields and oases, and opened up a paradise on earth. Their agriculture has become number 1 in the world. Israel's agriculture ranks first in the world abound. Each cow produces up to 13,000 kilograms of milk per year, chickens produce 280 eggs per year, roses produce more than 3 million stems per hectare, cotton yields 1,200 kilograms per hectare. The annual output of citrus per hectare is 80 tons, the yield of tomatoes per hectare is 500 tons, the yield of fish farming per cubic water area is also higher than 500 kilograms, the yield of lantern pepper, cucumber, eggplant and other vegetables are also the highest in the world. Israel can even raise fish in the desert, with a fishery output of more than half a ton per cubic meter of water. How did Israel's agricultural development break through their resource and environmental constraints? What is the secret behind their agricultural miracle? How did they achieve these firsts? The development of Israel's agriculture was not done in a day's work. Government investment and guidance are the main success factors. Israel invested $80 million in agricultural research and development every year. Based on the current Israeli population of 160,000 people engaged in agricultural production, this is equivalent to an investment of $500 per person. This investment in agriculture enabled farmers and enterprises to actively participate in the research and development of agricultural technology, enabling the country to develop high-level agriculture with limited resources. Technological innovation is the soul of sustainable agricultural development in Israel. It has the world's leading comprehensive biological control technology, drip irrigation technology, high-yield planting and breeding technology, precision agriculture information technology, polyploid breeding technology and photothermal momentum technology. 7 Advanced technologies of Israeli agriculture. Number 1. Breeding technology. Israel's seed industry research and development has become very powerful, including research and development of genetically modified seeds. Seeds and seedlings produced in Israel are in demand all over the world. A variety of seedlings with strong disease resistance have been developed, which can be stored for a long time and are suitable for various climates. 40% of European tomato greenhouses use Israeli-developed seeds. seedless watermelon, disease-resistant winter squash, high-yield cucumber, dish-shaped yellow zucchini, hybrid cotton varieties, longer and stronger fibers, high-yield crops use less water, and more varieties such as natural colored cotton are world-renowned. Number 2. Greenhouse technology. Greenhouse technology is an important part of Israel's ecological agriculture system. Greenhouses are spread all over Israel, but the greenhouse technology adopted in different regions is not the same. The greenhouses in Israel are lighter overall and not expensive to build. They can protect plants from pests and diseases to a large extent, reduce the use of pesticides, and control the humidity of the greenhouse using remote control. Demand is automatically adjusted. Number 3. Water resources and sewage treatment technology. Israel is one of the countries with an arid climate and the most lack of fresh water resources in the world. The total amount of usable fresh water resources is about 2 billion cubic meters, and the effective water resources are 1.5 billion cubic meters to 1.7 billion cubic meters. The per capita annual occupation is less than 300 cubic meters, accounting for only 1/33 of the world's per capita water resources. In addition to the low rainfall in the Mediterranean climate, Israel once fought with neighboring countries over water. To this end, Israel has strengthened the research and development of water resources and comprehensive utilization of technologies such as water-saving technologies, seawater desalination technologies, wastewater recycling technologies, and rainwater collection technologies. After a 5,000-kilometer north-to-south water diversion project in Israel for 10 years, the fresh water of the Lake of Galilee was introduced into the desert. With the help of high north and low south, water conservancy pipelines cleverly used siphon technology to save power and energy. Number 4. Drip irrigation technology. Israel Water Equipment Company occupies 30% of the global market share. Currently, only 12% of irrigation around the world uses drippers, but more than 80% are Israeli products. From pipelines to valves, all key components of Israel's irrigation system are controlled remotely and intelligently, and can be irrigated to a single plant. The advanced and precise drip irrigation system ensures the demand of plant roots, reduces the increase of gas emissions due to improper use of fertilizers, and realizes the precision of agricultural planting. Computer-controlled drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation systems for water, fertilizer, and pesticides are the foundation of modern Israeli agriculture. Since the founding of the country, Israel's agricultural production has increased by more than 10 times, but the unit water consumption has not increased at all. It cannot be said that it is due to the drip irrigation technology. Number 5. Special fertilizer technology. The famous Dead Sea in Israel is where natural mineral fertilizers are produced. The Dead Sea water is rich in potassium, phosphorus, magnesium and other fertilizers needed for agricultural production. Israel is one of the 6th largest potash fertilizer producers in the world. The fully water-soluble fertilizer produced by it occupies more than 90% of the Israeli market, and its sales in Europe are also at the forefront. Israel has developed a series of water-soluble fertilizer coupling formulas according to different plant needs, incorporating technology to increase the added value of fertilizers. Israel vigorously develops controlled-release fertilizers. The fertilizers are wrapped in polymers to ensure that the fertilizers are diffused and released in the soil slowly and for a long time. Slow-release fertilizers can simultaneously increase the utilization rate and reduce groundwater pollution. Number 6. Dairy cattle breeding technology. Since the 1950s, the average milk production has increased 2.5 times, and the average milk production per cow has increased from 3,900 liters to 11,000 liters. Not only that, the Israeli dairy cow industry also faces international exports, such as frozen semen, raw embryos for transplantation, heifers, modern cattle breeding equipment and computer-controlled feeding management systems. Number 7. Israeli facility aquaculture technology. Israel's developed facility agriculture is not only in the field of planting, but also has many independently developed intensive facility aquaculture technologies. Due to the lack of fresh water resources, fish farmers use closed water systems for intensive aquaculture. Cultivation of various ornamental fish and marine plants, including cold water fish, tropical fish and prawns, sea corals, etc. Israel leads the world in the cultivation of commercial microalgae, with the highest quality production process and technology to maximize production efficiency, provide high-quality product lines, and eliminate the risk of microbial contamination. The application of high-tech products such as drones and field sensors is a new trend in Israel's agricultural development. Nowadays, smartphone software is widely used in agricultural systems. Farmers can sit at home and understand what is happening in the fields. When the mobile phone shows that harmful insects have entered the farmland, spraying pesticides at designated points can be implemented, which also helps to reduce the negative impact of the widespread use of pesticides on the ecology. The contribution rate of science and technology in many developed countries in the world to agricultural growth is generally more than 70%, while that of Israel reaches more than 90%. In Israel, there are many technology transfer companies specializing in scientific research institutions to make agricultural scientific and technological innovations truly serve agriculture and improve agricultural production efficiency. Israel not only ranks first in the world in agriculture, but also in its industrial and military development. Its GDP per capita is as high as $40,000. Among the high-tech companies listed on NASDAQ in the United States, the number of companies from Israel ranks third in the world, second only to the United States and Canada. Considering that Israel's national land is so small and its natural resources are so bad, is it accidental that they have been able to reach the forefront of the world in various indicators? Absolutely not. It is the result of the Israelis' education-oriented, technology-first, hard-working people. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Goodbye, and stay tuned.